Hello, dear friends. Today we are talking about clairvoyance, and our topic is called Clairvoyance Lessons. What is clairvoyance? Is it possible to read the information at all? Where is this information located? Is this true or false? Is there accurate information or is it inaccurate? How to learn how to do this? And is it really necessary to learn it? And is it open to everyone or only to a select few? This topic includes a lot of different questions, and today we will try to reveal the secret, open the door to the disclosure of these very serious issues. So, my friends, today we will not only talk about what clairvoyance is, but at the end of our streaming, I will also give you advice, recommendations, and an understanding of how to open clairvoyance and whether you need it at all. Let's now talk about how such ability really exists in a human being, or is it just an accident and an invention of many people? I have been studying this topic all my conscious life, and many people and scientists are also engaged in the study of human superpowers. Institutions, universities, different societies, secret societies, and special services and organs have been created and studied this topic in depth. They make many discoveries and understand how serious this process is, to see a subtle plane, to see that which is invisible to the ordinary human eye. So, my friends, what is clairvoyance and where is the information that we can read and get? And how does this process of reading information take place? In our previous broadcasts, I told that there is a subtle plane. There is an information field, which is called the noosphere in science. It was discovered 100 years ago, and there is information that is stored in this information field about every person, about every event, about everything that happens on this planet, and about everyone living on this planet. And each person is connected to this reservoir of energy and information. And by opening and activating our subtle bodies, each of us can learn to read information from these subtle planes. But it turns out that everything is not so simple. According to its structure, information is divided into vibration levels: low, medium, and high vibrations. Therefore, we can say that the noosphere includes a variety of levels and vibrations. There are different levels of information flow: the subconscious, the superconscious level of information, which contains the highest information, the knowledge that many people are now striving to learn. So, all this information is in certain energy information reservoirs, which store this information flow in their cells. But is it possible for every person to see, know, hear, read and understand this information? Or is it just for a select few people? And in general, what is needed for this and should it be done? Let's consider these questions. Each person connected to this information field has the ability to actually read this information, and scientists are now saying that the human brain is not able to create thoughts by itself, it is only able to decipher them. So the human brain deciphers the information waves that emanate from energy information sources, and each person attracts what he himself corresponds to. A person reads this information and reproduces it. Thoughts turn into emotions, emotions into actions, and this is how each of us lives life. Dear friends, the subtle plane that I am telling you now is actually more primary than the physical level that you feel thanks to your senses. Why? Everything is initially formed in the process of information. Information and energy are primary, and only then, uniting into certain streams, densities, they create a dense physical substance. Physical particles of energy create a physical substance and create a manifested, visible state of the physical world. But without this subtle plane of energy and information about this physical world and about the changes, evolution, and development of this physical world, there would be no physical world as such. It would have nothing to come from. You will ask why? It's very simple, my friends. Before anything happens here on the material, physical level, first it happens in the subtle plane, in other dimensions of this planet. Almost every planet has its own dimension levels, where one or another energy and information of the past, present and future of these planets is stored. This is the same on this planet, where you started and continue your path of evolution. So, learning to read this information, to penetrate into these dimensions, into this other world, on the other side of life, on the other side of reality, is in principle the task of all spiritually developing people. But many people, not being such, also strive to discover these superpowers in themselves. They also want to learn how to read this information. And often most of them want it out of curiosity. People want to know how much money someone has, how someone lives, what is going on at someone's life. In general, they want to live with other people's problems and other people's lives. And only because of this, they want to possess this knowledge and this information and to know what is happening with their neighbors. Dear friends, of course, this is primitive. This testifies to the primitive consciousness of humanity. And people who think exactly like this, I will learn to see information and I will know everything about everyone. Of course, the primitive human mind can think like this, think so and can perceive this reality in this way. A spiritually developed person, a conscious person, will not even allow himself to think so. Having the abilities, he will direct these abilities to the development of mankind, and then, in the second place, he will think about himself, how to apply these abilities for himself. But first, remember, if these abilities are revealed to people, it is primarily so that these people help other people and serve humanity. Why is this so, you ask? Because this is the basis law of life and cosmos, of all inhabited cosmos. This unified law says that first you need to take care of others and only then about yourself. This is how the entire cosmic world, the entire inhabited cosmos is arranged. So, my friends, superpowers and the subtle state and abilities of a person are revealed only to those people who have this inner potential. You can tell me, but how? What about sorcerers, fortune tellers who read the cards, and other people who interact with the astral plane of this life? They also see information. They see, my friends, but they see not true information, illusory information. They see an illusion created by the thinking of many people. After all, you process information with your brain, you radiate what you have processed, and this information also does not go anywhere, and it is fixed and collected in certain energy informational dense reservoirs of the astral plane, where it creates the manifested state of the astral world. In general, you create the astral plane with your thoughts. So, my friends, when sorcerers, fortune tellers, and people who are studying and working with low, rough vibrations, destructive vibrations, enter this information field and read information, Often, my friends, they read the illusory and dirty space, which not the fact that will happen in your life. How is it possible, you will ask? Is it possible that in relation to each person there are so many realities and so many possible options for his life? Yes, exactly. Each of you has, let's say, a preparation of your future, in which there are a lot of options for the development of events, lots of. And your future life will depend on what your steps will be today, what choice you will make today, will depend on your choice. By making a choice, reading information from a more subtle, pure space, you create the reality of your future life. But the fact is that many people on the planet are emotionally, spiritually, and mentally unstable. Many of people do not even know what they want in life, or they want one thing today and another completely tomorrow, or they are not firmly convinced of what they want, what they are striving for, and in general what is happening in their life. And such confusion, such delusion, such distrust of both oneself and others, and in general such an illusory state of life connects humanity to the illusory space of life, from which humanity reads information, and this information creates the reality of their life. That is why many people are in suffering now. You know, friends, today before the streaming, I talked with the creator and he told me that many people really want freedom. They are fighting for this freedom. They go to rallies with posters, etc. And everyone wants freedom. Freedom in their understanding, in their subconscious understanding, is irresponsibility. This is the desire not to be responsible for everything that they do. But this is crazy, my friends. Whether these people want it or not, they still have to pay for everything. Usually, a human being thinks that being free, he will do anything and nothing will happen to him. But it will, my friends. And I tell you, it will be already from a completely different plane, from the cosmic plane, where the law, the creator is identical with the creation, will be activated. And if the creator creates evil, hatred, destruction, war, then of course he will be responsible for this process. Retribution for each will be as each of us deserves it. This must be remembered. Therefore, the freedom that a person thinks about, the state of irresponsibility, to do whatever I want and so that I have nothing for it, is it good or bad? This is neither good nor bad. It just is. And on a divine level, from a divine position, it is simply natural selection, the natural selection of life, where everyone expresses himself exactly as he really is. Therefore, I do not interfere with these processes. I do not interfere in strife. I do not intervene in quarrels. I allow the world to be as it is, but I do everything to make it better. And I will give you such a recommendation and advice. Become observers in life and do not interfere. This natural process of life, where everyone expresses all his vices, all his inner state, whether he is good or evil, is in fact a process of natural evolution. This is where souls are forged and the souls of many people are revealed. And this process enables potentially spiritually developed people to give themselves their word not to do this. That is, my friends, everything happens for some reason, and even if something evil happens, it benefits those who must realize and reflect on their life and their actions. So, back to the processes of the reality of clairvoyance and foresight. How can you learn this? and which organs are responsible for this process, and in general, what is it, how to figure it out. Is it a person's thoughts, inventions, or is it just perceived information? Well, let's close the subject of fiction, at least because a person is not capable of inventing thoughts himself. These are the latest discoveries of scientists, the latest studies of the brain of scientists, who say that the human brain cannot create thoughts by itself, it can process them. The brain perceives waves, energy, informational radiation, and decodes within itself. But when the brain is developed, it turns on more active functions that make it possible to read high vibration information and decipher it in the human head. Thus, a person opens up superpowers. What are these parts? Many areas that were dormant. First of all, this is the right hemisphere of the brain. This is the anterior lobe of the brain, the temporal lobes, and the three glands that are responsible for these superpowers: the pineal gland, pituitary, and hypothalamus. They all often work in a combined state in order to provide more accurate decoded information. And many scientists, for instance, Natalia Petrovna Bechtereva, said during her lifetime that people who have discovered these superpowers have these glands twice as large as those people who do not have these abilities. She saw this in her research. My friends, the superpowers of a human are the ability of a person to see a subtle plane, to see invisible that is hidden from the human eye. How the vision is happening? Differently. Each one is given it differently, and everything depends primarily on the spiritually developed state of a person. If, for example, a person has developed his soul, then of course the soul participates in this process, the process of reading and decoding information. And in general, my friends, I would give you such a recommendation. If you want to reveal these abilities in yourself, first open your spiritual potential. First open your soul, activate your intuition, and only then, through the prism of the soul, you can engage in reading the information, deciphering it, penetrating certain information fields, spaces, to develop yourself and help humanity also in the process of evolution and development. That's what these abilities are for. In any case, why do I need them and why do my students need them, who expressed their desire and are ready to reveal these superpowers? Friends, prepare your questions. I see that your questions are already ripe and many of you want to ask questions that you have not found answers to before. Write your questions, I will be happy to answer them. And now I will return to clairvoyance again. My friends, to work with clairvoyance, you need to learn to initially maintain inner vigilance, calmness, balance, and enter an altered state of consciousness. Only then can you read the information. How? There are many different ways through which you can enter an altered state of consciousness. Another thing is how much you need it. And now I would like to talk about this. Why? Because the time you are now living in is extraordinary. This is the time that in itself reveals the superpowers in people. But since most people are not spiritually developed and absolutely do not know how to control themselves, their emotions, their egoistic minds, these superpowers lead them to the destruction of the psyche, and they end up in psychiatric dispensaries where they undergo treatment processes. Most of the people in psychiatric clinics, dispensaries, are people who have revealed these supernormal abilities, but only they do not know what to do with them. They are lost between these two worlds. They cannot understand which world is real and which is not real. They invent, reading information from those worlds, moving with their consciousness, being here at the physical level. They talk about the dimensions that exist, but which at the moment are not manifested at the physical level, not visible. There is such madness, inner madness, and this happens only with spiritually undeveloped people. If a person is spiritually developed, his abilities will open automatically. He will train, he will perform certain exercises to control these superpowers. And he, let's say in such a simple, childish language, he will not become crazy. Do you understand? But a person who cannot control himself, cannot control his emotions, a person who still takes offense at someone, quarrels with someone, not only does not need to discover these superpowers, it is too early for him to even think about it. He needs to first cope with himself, with his emotions, raise his vibrations to a high level, and only then open these superpowers. Otherwise, this process will end in mental destruction. What is mental destruction? We will talk with you later. We have already had programs and we have already talked about this. My friends, I am returning to clairvoyance again. How to reveal this ability and why does a person need it in principle? People need it to read information, see invisible space, inform a person, warn another person, help him, to contribute to some of his processes of evolution, life and becoming. That is, these superpowers and, in general, everything that opens in you, the unknown, this all need to be directed towards the creation of all mankind and the people who surround you. If you direct this only to rise above someone, to show your arrogance, to show your pride, your vanity, to wipe someone's nose, as you say, because you have superpowers, believe me, my friends, these abilities of such people close very quickly. And if something is revealed, then only the astral lower plane, which is dangerous for every person and can really cause certain mental disorders. The information must be read from clean sources that are not destructive to many people. But my friends, I can tell you that often people who come to me with a request to look at their information fields, as a rule, I have to dive into their dirt, into their dirty information fields, where fears, horror, doubts, anger, resentment, hatred, and of course, I have to talk about what they have made for themselves in their lives. There is no good to tell because there is no good there. And every time I understand that having abilities is very little, my friends, very little. You need to have not only abilities, but you also need to have strength, will. You need to have the strength of spirit within yourself. Incredible faith in the Creator, in those higher forces that created everything, including you. You need to be such a strong and stable person to possess these superpowers, to dive into these dirty information fields, look at the information, recover and enter again into the desired high vibration state, the spiritual state of the personality. Therefore, my friends, I want to tell you that these abilities are not easy, and for many people they are even fraught. If a person is internally not ready for these abilities and is even afraid of them, many people are only afraid of this. But often they are afraid not so much of superpowers, they are afraid that someone would see their vicious deeds. This is what they are afraid of. Some people are really afraid of this. And when they see that this is really so, then they try not to contact such people with psychic, with clairvoyance, so that they do not know anything about them. But my friends, a real psychic will never dig up the dirt on those people who hide their vices. They will answer for their vices themselves, and a real spiritual master also knows about this, so he does not do this, he does not dig up the dirt. Moreover, he understands how fraught it is for himself. I can tell you from personal experience. When I look at your events, when you massively after the courses line up in a queue to ask what your godfather has and what your sister has and what the son-in-law and what the daughter, what and where will happen. And this is true, and now I'm sure you are even smiling because practically you all really do this. And you know, I have very little pleasure from this, because I have to lower my high vibrations to the level of your matchmaker, son-in-law, and others. Watch their unspiritual, undeveloped, illusory, terrible life in vices, and then tell you about it. For me to see this information, I need not only to enter an altered state of consciousness, but also need to lower my vibrations, otherwise I will not see anything there. You can see only that space and only that state with which you can enter into resonance. It is then that the information is read, like calls to like. But if your vibrations are high and the people you are asked about have low vibrations, then you consciously know how the ball is deflated. You seem to deflate the wheel, lower your vibrations, enter into resonance with the information field of the person and start reading information. Therefore, my friends, there is absolutely no joy from this. And a real master will never do it himself. He does not need it, even it is unpleasant for him. It hurts, and it really takes all the strength. It burns you completely, burns your light in the process of fear. After all, you connecting to a person with low vibrations, who is in fear, in vices, in madness, in diseases, you connect to these diseases, you experience it all in yourself. You are experiencing it through your state of the soul. Is this pleasant? It is not only unpleasant, but it is also very painful. It is destructive. This is very destructive for a master. Therefore, I try, of course, to the maximum, I try not to do it. But you, of course, do everything, surround me completely, ask me to see your information. Well, that means that my mission on this planet is to read this and tell about this. After all, people do not think about me in the first place. How is Natalia Rodina feels? These are her deals. The main thing is that I feel good. So that I feel good and everything else, and the grass doesn't grow. My friends, while you think so, while you do this, while you feel this way internally, you are still at low vibrations. You will say, what are we going to do? Who will help us? You see everything, but we still don't see anything. My friends, if you do not see anything yet, it means that it should be so for now. It means that you are not yet ready for this. You need to grow spiritually. You need to become light. Become a light, do you see? Become as pure as a crystal. And then the crystallities of your soul, your consciousness, will read this high frequency, you understand? And then you can also understand, see and know everything in the same way as I and other personalities of a spiritual nature who live here on this earth for you. But my friends, if this is not happening to you yet, then it is too early for you to do it. It means that you need to put yourself in order. You need to pull yourself up to a higher level. You have to completely detach yourself from all material hooks. I don't mean that you need to give up your house or apartment, sell and take the money to someone. No, I'm not talking about that. I am talking about not living with material hooks because they bind you to the material plane and you cannot see the spiritual plane. You know, my friends, the process of clairvoyance, foresight, psychic abilities is inexplicable in human words. This is indeed the case. It means you need to explain in words what is invisible to you and what is much higher than this physical space, this level, and the words themselves much higher. And this must be explained in human words. It's almost impossible to explain in words. Yes, my dear ones, there are so many, shall we say, fanatics, and such a fanatical attitude towards this issue, this capability. And many people consider psychics to be, say, charlatans. And by the way, there are many of them. There are so many people who do not have these abilities but simply pretend in some way. That is, they have these abilities but superficial, of the astral plane. And they don't always guess the information, as you say. We can talk about it. I know why some information is guessed or not guessed. In general, all the information is guessed, friends. If you're interested, ask questions, I will tell you about it. And now I want to tell you that the ability of clairvoyance must be applied through the active, open state of your soul. In this case, you will read information from a pure source and you will see real information, truthful, the one that a person needs. But it is not a fact that this will happen in his life because, as I already told you, humanity is undeveloped and unstable emotionally and mentally. This is the only reason that does not make it possible for what certain psychics tell you to come true. I see that you are already prepared for questions. Let's talk with you about your questions. Good evening. Here comes such an interesting question. Danila from Minsk asks, Natalia Vladimirovna, your broadcast is called Clairvoyance Lessons. I listened to a lot of information, understood a lot, and see some problems along the way. But still, could you somehow briefly give such a step-by-step lesson? How can I reveal this ability to clairvoyance in myself? You want to get everything on a silver platter. It won't work out like that, dear friend. This is a very long and very serious process. Very long and serious. Step-by-step plan. The first thing you need to start with, so that this path opens up painlessly for you, and so that you learn to read clean, spiritual, and correct information from the superconscious level of space, from the spiritual space. You need to become a spiritually developed person. What does this include? You need not deceive other people and yourself as well. Be open, kind, not get attached to any physical and material things, not get attached to people. Be internally calm, balanced, completely control your thoughts, be responsible for your thoughts, deeds, and actions. You need more than that. Since you are now living in a physical body, you need to put things in order with the physical body. You need to become an absolutely healthy person. Cleanse it inside. What does it mean? Cleanse your lymphatic system, restore your organs, remove poisons and toxins, remove parasites from the body. That is to prepare your physical vessel for high vibrations to go through it. This is your first task. Of course, you need to give up eating meat, as well as dirty, destructive and chemical food. Go as much as possible to a healthy diet, to a healthy lifestyle. This is the first steps you need to do. As soon as you do this, you need, having made such a decision for yourself, you need to find a master, a teacher who can give you practices, techniques, mechanisms through which you can conduct high vibrational energies, high processes, high vibrational radiations through yourself. Then you will be able to recreate these states in yourself, and thus having in you high vibrations, subtle high vibrations, spiritual energy. In your human language, it is called spiritual energy. You will be able to conduct it through yourself, thanks to a healthy body, thanks to the right thinking and practices that I teach people. Or you need to find another master for yourself to whom you can entrust your life. This is very important, my friends. It is very important to trust your master, your teacher. Because if you are lying and deceiving even such a person, there are such things, friends, I know this, that it happens. And it happens among my students as well. Yes, it's true. So if nevertheless this happens to you, and you do not tell the truth to your master, do not trust him, then this is not your teacher. Then you need to look for another teacher, or you are not ready to have a teacher yet. Most people are not ready to have a teacher. When you master the practices, practical sacred techniques, the opening of your soul is activated in you. When the soul opens up in the practices that I teach, I talk about my teaching, about how I help to reveal these abilities. Due to the opening of the soul and the unification of the soul with the consciousness and with the human mind, such a united triune state of human consciousness occurs. And he already begins to think not with low astral vibrations, but with high spiritual, high frequency vibrations. And then in his body, in his brain, we have techniques for activating the centers of the brain, which also reveal superpowers. There are many techniques, there are many mechanisms that unfold superpowers. There are more primitive techniques, you can read about them in different books, but strong methods, techniques that give a quick and very good effect to a person are not in books and on the internet. I also don't give them to all people in a row. I consider who is ready for this and who is not ready. And only after that do superpowers begin to unfold. I should have a drink of water, Sergei Arkadьевич. My friends, just a minute. I'm sorry. I talk a lot. Thank you so much. So, my friends, I will return to this question again. You asked me a very serious question, and it takes time, understanding, and disclosure, and how much knowledge you need to have to reveal your superpowers and super abilities. Lots of. I can tell you one thing. If you approach this issue superficially, you will not succeed. The same will be the superficial result. And if you take this issue very seriously, and seriously take up this process, only in this case it will be possible to activate these abilities and learn to master them. You know, my friends, I'll tell you from my own experience. It's wonderful to have these abilities. This is wonderful because having these abilities, you will learn to receive information from other dimensions, parallel worlds, other dimensions. Even you can look at other planets, at life, at the information field that is on other planets. In fact, this is great. And I will tell you more. All spiritual people, all spiritual masters, all spiritual teachers possess superpowers, super abilities of a spiritual level. Have I answered your questions? If yes, write. If not and something else is not clear, ask, I will tell you more. Next question. The next question is also similar to the previous, from Ivan from Kiev. Ivan asks, Cayce, Vanga, other famous clairvoyants, in principle did not learn this. They received this gift spontaneously. Their predictions were very accurate. How accurately can a clairvoyant be classified according to the results of his answers? Or does everyone see the same information? I understood. Switch me, please. I understand your question. And if I tell you that Vanga did not always tell the truth, and Cayce as well, you see, friends, you all want to be able to just snap your fingers and that's it. It will not be so, my friends. Well, Vanga has undergone a very serious shock in her life, and when she became blind, having been in sublimation, in the vortex that whirled her, she fell into a very strong energy flow, and her body activated this glands inside the brain. And since her eyes were blinded, she began to actively use these glands and thus adopt this inner vision, which is called spiritual vision, to adapt to life. It happened in this way. But first, she got into a vortex flow, and this is actually the kind of sublimation that I teach my students, only I do it differently, on an energy level. You do not need a tornado to unfold superpowers in yourself. You need to learn how to recreate and manage high energy flows in yourself. And due to these high flows of energy, these individuals also possessed these abilities. Cayce, if you go a little deeper into his life, you will see that he was a spiritually developed person, a very spiritually developed person. And as I already told you, all spiritually developed people, practically all of them, possess superpowers. It's true. Yes, there are many charlatans in this area. There are many people who call themselves teachers and teach other people, but in fact, they are just getting ready to become teachers. A teacher is someone who gives his life to serve other people. This is what a teacher is. A teacher is one who loves everyone indiscriminately. He is one who is in complete control of himself. And calling yourself a teacher is just a name. You know, as they say, it is easy to seem, it is difficult to be. Those people just have put on hats and crowns on their heads and consider themselves teachers. Only those who are faithful and devoted to the Creator, who will even give his life for humanity, can call themselves this word. This is the real teacher. Remember this. If you are not yet like that, then you are not yet a teacher. Thank you. The next question, Victor from Dnipro asks. Good evening. The question is, has the process of clairvoyance changed in connection with the quantum transition? The number of options, shortening of the timing of foresight, changeability. Thank you. Yes, of course, it changed. Everything accelerated very much. The world began to change very quickly. All the prophecies began to come true very quickly. But my friends, I want to tell you that prophecies do not always come true. I can tell you that information changes very quickly. You sometimes ask me what will happen to the country, what will happen to that, and what will happen to others. And there are so many options for events. And it happens that the situation develops for a long time, and then someone makes an opposite decision, and everything changes completely to the opposite. Do you understand? But at first, everything goes the way it was formed sequentially. And then one decision of an influential person, and everything completely changes. In general, my friends, I can tell you as a psychic that this quantum transition starts these processes much faster. But they happen much faster on their own as well. Now your thoughts are much faster come true, much faster your emotions create situations, events, and states for you. Therefore, now more than ever, a person must be vigilant, and this process will intensify in the future. And if you do not now learn to control yourself, do not become spiritually developed people, it will be very difficult for you. You will either leave this world forever, or it will be very difficult for you to adapt to a new state of life. And life will continue to change and will change very seriously. And already scientists are ringing the bells. Humanity, please wake up. What are you doing? Why are you destroying everyone so much? What do you think only of yourself, so that only you alone feel good and everything else is unimportant? Already, friends, it is no longer possible to live like this in this new era. That quantum transition that you all know about, which is even scientifically confirmed that it really is happening, that it is also there is a lot of information even on the internet. If you are interested, take a look. Therefore, my friends, take hold of your mind and your souls and begin the process of development and evolution. And hurry up! Time is gone. There is no time to procrastinate. The quantum transition itself not only activates the superpowers in you. Look what happens. Due to the high waves that are now coming from the cosmos, and this is a scientifically proven fact, these glands in your head are activated and expanded. We talked about them today. These are the pituitary gland, hypothalamus and pineal gland. In an expanded state, they begin to read the information of the vibrational state that you have within yourself. For example, if you are angry, always irritable, hateful, always destructive, always in fear, in doubt, you attract it, and you are connected to the astral plane, which has such information in it. And your glands expanding, activating, create certain images for you, pictures. You begin to read this information. And this makes you even more scared, because in the low astral you will not see any good. And you go into a state of madness. You think, what is this? What is happening to me? That is, you cannot answer all these questions, and this leads such a person to the destruction of the psyche, the nervous system, to schizophrenia. This is what is happening. My friends, hear me now. Hear and do everything to become an even, calm, joyful, loving, all-accepting, all-forgiving person. This is the first thing I say to everyone. Become such a person. There is no more time to procrastinate. You already have to be like that. If you are not, you will be responsible for it. You yourself will suffer from this. It will be difficult and hard for you. Look now at how people live. Many have money, even have a lot of money, but where is their happiness? They are like mad with this money. They are in madness. They are running somewhere. They are afraid. They are afraid to leave, to go somewhere. They are afraid for this money, for themselves, for their children. They are terrified, although they have everything and can buy everything. However, they are in such madness. Where does it lead? To schizophrenia. I know so many mentally ill rich people. Of course, their psyche suffers. Now look, if the psyche is destroyed, the person will be able to keep his business. Will he be able to properly manage his business and the people who work for him? Not. He will bring everything to decay and destruction. The money will be spent very quickly and everything will fall apart, you see? It just happens before my eyes, I can see it. And I understand that it is already too late to say something to them. They can no longer understand and hear what can be said and explained to them in their lives. Do you understand? My friends, the situation is very difficult now, and you all need to become responsible for your thoughts, actions, behavior. Stop blaming people, stop looking for the guilty people. In your case, it is so ingrained in you, as if it has stuck with ticks, as tumor cells have grown into your consciousness. For example, you think, my heart ached, I went to the courses, so my heart ached. Yes, it's probably the courses to blame. Remember, if you are engaged in spiritual development and high vibrations mechanisms that come from the purest source, your heart will not hurt, do you know? Even if it makes itself known, it will only be in the process of release from this pain. And spiritual development is not the cause of pain. That is, the reason is your bad thoughts in your head. This is what I am addressing to those people who often do even this. They accuse the courses of spiritual development that they have something sick. I tell you this, wake up, nothing can get sick with you. It's impossible. When you raise your vibrations on a training, you don't get sick, you get well. Can you hear me? Why are there many students who come to us and say, oh, you know, I came today and my head ached so badly. By the end of the class, everything had already passed. We have a lot of them. Diseases even go away that were many years old. Therefore, spiritual development does not lead a person to illness and destruction. Spiritual development leads a person to happiness, to a happy life. But if you, as you think, are developing spiritually, but at the same time you have diseases, then you are just playing it. That's right, it's true. Thank you. The next question, Yana from France asks, Natalia Vladimirovna, how to connect to the channel and read information to learn languages? We have lived many lives and spoken different languages, but we do not remember this. Can these abilities be restored? Yes, you can do it. If you are interested, you can do it. But for this, you need to prepare yourself to open the subconscious, the deep cells where all of your past lives are, the deep cells of your subconscious. And when you dive there, you will remember this, and many people do so. Well, not many, of course, but there are those who do it. Yes, it is possible. But for this, you need to develop spiritually, work on yourself, be calm, balanced. You need to complete the levels of spiritual preparation, open the superconsciousness and subconsciousness, and only then have this opportunity. You can master this through other means and not through the subconscious. You can master this by entering the information field of superconsciousness, where information about this is stored, and it can be done, but for this you need to activate the centers of the brain. Thank you. When a person develops, works in practices, here a young man from Minsk asked what was needed. These practices are needed. When you start working, these impulses are dots in the eyes, different colors appear with closed eyes. These are the colors of your thoughts. That is, your pituitary gland and pineal gland open up and begin to show the radiation of your thoughts, your inner state. This is how the channel of clairvoyance is tuned. These are its first manifestations. This is neither bad nor good. It just is such a phenomenon. As I told you, spiritually developed people simply have to have this channel open. Spiritually developed people should read information from a pure source, which stores knowledge for the development of the same spiritual developed people. Therefore, I am preparing you for this, and I give you those practical tasks that will reveal these superpowers in you. But don't be in a hurry, as I always tell you. Take your time, my friends. Learn to control yourself. Do not blame anyone. Do not take offense at anyone. Be even, calm, balanced, forgiving, all accepting. It is necessary to keep these high vibrations. When you do not have this madness and vices, you keep high vibrations due to the practices that I taught you. I know how hard it is for you to stay in this state. I know. Therefore, I always accept your downs and your ups, and I understand why this is so. I take it as it is. Thank you. The next question, Marina from Rovno asks, Good evening. Please tell me, is it possible to reach such a level of development to communicate with a personal angel when you need to learn information to help other people? That is, can there be such communication or clairvoyance? Yes, Marinочка, of course you can. Sure, you may do it. It is possible, and even necessary, probably. In general, these personalities are waiting for your understanding, for your development, but correct development. After all, it is very important not to fall into the net of the ego, which can use your spiritual development and create a fanatical state of insanity, when people will be simply insane in this matter and will not be able to adequately assess the life situation in themselves. Therefore, this process is very responsible, and all this must be done correctly in order not to have such side-destructive processes. To do this, you need to obey your teacher. When you are obedient, when you are diligent, do everything that is told to you, and follow all the advice and recommendations and practices, you will be on the right track and everything will go great. And you will open this ability and you will communicate with spiritual forces. There is even an organization on this planet that includes personal guardians of destiny. personal planetary guardian seraphim who works throughout the planet, and individual personal guardian seraphims whose wards are also in this reserve corps of fate. And such people living here on this planet are given information from above to fulfill their tasks of the evolution of mankind and these people themselves. When you help others to grow, you grow as well. Thank you. Nastya from Britain asks, does a person go through any stages when his clairvoyance is just beginning to open? Yes, Nastya, he is passing. But I will tell you this. If you start to engage in spiritual development and do it correctly, and do not take such breaks as you do, then in this case, working in practices, increasing your vibrations, certain parts of your brain begin to activate. That is, your brain can transmit and maintain in itself a high wave, a high frequency. This can cause certain headache. Yes, this can be. And this pain cannot be removed by any drugs, absolutely nothing. And in this case, you just need to go to sleep for this attunement to occur. Why? Your brain is very sensitive. Your neurons, these are nerve cells, are very sensitive. And when you give them a little more energy, a little more vibration, a little more life plasma, then they feel the tension and can cause painful processes. But this is very temporary, it passes. Then the brain begins to think faster, the processes of change take place. You begin to think faster, read information faster, enter the desired state faster, control yourself, no longer think bad thoughts, because high vibrations cause good thoughts, and read good thoughts. In general, this is only beneficial. Spiritual development, the activating of superpowers, only benefits humanity. But correct development and activation, and those who do it wrong, well, the wrong approach itself gives the same wrong result. Everything is natural, friends. Thank you. Natasha from Dnipro asks, do people's thoughts interfere with reading true information? They interfere, but you need to learn how to turn them off. Just disable the state. Tell yourself, I do not see these thoughts, I do not see this, I do not want to see this. My friends, a person who possesses superpowers must always be vigilant. He must be focused every minute. And when you begin to feel the information, the flow of information, for example, I will tell you about myself. For instance, when one of my students thinks about me, immediately he appears in my consciousness. His thoughts immediately appear, his inner state, instantly. Or some other person thinks about me, remembered me, and thinks about me. He immediately appears in my head, I remember him, I see what he thinks, what he feels, and so on. If I don't want to see it, I say to myself, I don't need this, I don't want to see it. And it immediately melted and went away, and it's gone. It may come back again if the person continues to think about me. I think again, no, I don't see it, I don't need it. But to my disciples, if my students turn to me, of course, seeing their difficulties or, on the contrary, their victories, I always send an impulse of energy, understanding, awareness and spiritual purity, so that they do not play this, but live these wonderful spiritual states. Thank you. Sergei Arkadyevich said that our questions are coming to an end. There were some uninteresting questions. And why are you sending such uninteresting questions? My friends, how old are you? Why do you ask questions like, why does my side hurt or my head? Why does it stop, pang, or scratch? Why do you as little children ask such questions? It shoots in the head, which means processes with the vessels of the brain. This does not mean something fantastic. Look honestly at yourself in the mirror right after our streaming. Come and look at yourself in the mirror and for the first time in your life, tell yourself the truth. Tell yourself while looking at the mirror. Yes, I don't do something right, I don't lead a healthy lifestyle, I still take offense at someone, I still have a lot of fears. That's why I feel pain, shooting, stabbing, then cutting, then something else. This means that I am not yet a spiritually developed person. But when I become one, I will neither pang, nor hurt, nor stab or cut. Do you understand, friends? How old are you? You make everything a problem, you are looking for a catch and a special reason. But this is all on the surface. If your life is ideal, you lead a healthy lifestyle, you have control over yourself, you have mastered spiritual practices, you have control over high vibrations of energy, you control your thoughts, you are harmonious and calm, you will not have anything to hurt or pang. That is, you will be a multifaceted, healthy, normal person. However, if you don't do something needed, it's just the results of your life and nothing more. You are all running looking for someone to find someone to blame in your life. Why am I lonely? Why am I sick? Why is it not going well for me? And so on. And you just need to dive into yourself. And at least once in your life, tell yourself the truth. For example, yes, I am leading the wrong way of life. Sometimes people come to me and say, "Oh, Natalia Vladimirovna, my legs hurt so much, I have such blood clots on my legs, my God, I don't know what to do. My heart hurts and everything hurts." And I'm not even turning on my superpowers. You know what I think? I think this person is eating a lot of meat. And I immediately tell him, "You eat so much meat?" He answers, "Yes, you know, yes, I love meat so much, I love it very much." Please love, but then do not complain that your cholesterol is already climbing through all the holes. Eat, please, if you want, but don't complain. I don't forbid, but then don't ask me such stupid questions. What you sow is what you reap. If you eat what kills you, you will be killed and sick. If you live a creative life, you do everything for creation, you will have success, luck, prosperity and everything. Money, joy, health, you will have everything. You will have everything that you give to others, and if you give others not a penny, and only think how much it costs and how to do it so cunningly so as not to pay, how to cheat, no, there will be problems, difficulties, troubles, and financial losses. This is verified. Get to know yourself. Do not consider others, only yourself. If you do not yet master sacred practices, do not possess the highest spiritual knowledge, then do not hope for a good life. Where does it come from? Where did it come from? It's impossible. You have exactly that, and only that, and always only that to which you belong. If your radiations are low frequency, low vibration, insane, and you are always in fear, afraid of everything, even afraid to think about some abilities, think like, "Don't tell me about this, I'm even afraid to think about it. You should know, the astral controls you. That is, if you think that you can somehow protect yourself from something without knowing something, then this is not true, my friends. Fear itself indicates that you are easy prey for all these energy destructive processes that are feeding by you and affecting your life. Therefore, grow spiritually, read books, look for your masters, entrust your lives in the hands of these teachers. Let them help you in the first stage of your formation, and then you will become a teacher when you grow up, when you really correspond to it, which is also important. And then you will help other people, and in this way we will help this world, we will help this humanity, we will help each other, and we will all be happy. Not only will I be happy, but all of you will also be happy. Do you understand, friends? Remember my words and start living like this today. Questions have come up. Elena from Dnipro writes, Natalia Vladimirovna, recently I was late for the train and your image appeared in front of me with the words that I will be in time and everything will be fine, just no need to worry. And I have a question from Sergei Arkadyevich. So maybe we don't need to learn clairvoyance? Can we just imagine your image and everything will be clear? My friends, you tell me so much about your life experiences. I open your cars for you and solve your problems. You just have to remember me. I heal you from illnesses. I also help your grandchildren. In general, I fully participate in the process of your reality. Well, since you have entrusted your life into my hands, yes, at a certain stage, yes, I am obliged to help you. But just help. What does it mean to help? If you can do something yourself without my participation, then I should not participate in this. And if you cannot do something, for example, to help assist in solving a certain difficult situation, then I can help you, which is what happens with many of my students. But this is only at a certain stage. When you become masters and teachers and spiritually enlightened persons, then you will no longer need me. Thank you. Shall we finish? The last question, and I think we will finish today's broadcast. Alexandra from Dnipro asks, Natalia Vladimirovna, please tell us how people will live in 10, 20 years on the planet. What innovations will there be on our planet? I can tell you. You see, friends, if we talk about information, the information field has all the variants of events. Absolutely everything is there. Everything. But there is one catch, that in this evolutionary process you are involved and officials too. Each of you living on this planet contributes to the future, which will take place in 10 years. If you now all begin the process of evolution, caring for each other, development, expansion of your consciousness, understanding, start living correctly, of course, the process of becoming on this planet will improve. The process of evolution will improve. Although there are already those situations that are predetermined on this planet, and they will have to happen. These are climatic changes, the shift of the poles on the planet. That is, there are many factors that govern the life of the planet. Electromagnetic changes of the planet, which will strengthen the processes of reality, and life in 10, 20, 30 years will become even more impetuous, will become even more significant and fleeting for those people who will live in this period of time. Many people who have begun to engage in spiritual development due to this process of rapid formation, quick takeoff, will achieve very quick results. People who say, yes, this is all nonsense, we live one life, these people will, of course, get sick, suffer, and very quickly leave this planet through the process of death experience. I can tell you that humanity will change. And all that is happening now in politics, in the weather, in nature, in the minds of people, in general, this whole process is actually not a simple process. It should be. Many say that this is bad, that everything is so bad. Many accept that this is also needed for something. I can tell you that everything that is happening at the moment will bear fruit in 10, 20 years. What kind? A natural selection of humanity will take place. Those people who have completely degraded and cannot develop either themselves or life around them will leave this planet. But it was their choice. They wanted. It was their choice, and their choice will lead to such results in their lives. But in these vices, in this madness, in these sufferings that many people are now going through, in this deception, which has already become the norm of life, many people will be more vigilant, more responsible, and they will at least discover superpowers so they are not deceived. They will know if they are being cheated or not. Yes, my friends, this is very easy. Intuition immediately says whether a person is deceiving or not. You immediately feel these vibrations. That's at least for this, so that you are not deceived. And of course, you yourself will not deceive, because you understand that if you do this, people will do it to you. That is, people, their souls, in this difficult time will be forged spiritually, will grow spiritually, and will benefit humanity. They will change. They will become better. You know, my daughter recently, being at work, sent me such a conversation with a small child. The child seems to be 7 years old. And if you could hear this conversation, I only listened to it on the phone tape. It was a conversation with an adult who knows what formulas are, who knows how to properly mix a solution, thanks to which he will be able to build a 40-story building. That is, he absolutely understands everything. They talked about politics and about construction and about architecture, about mathematics. 7 years old child. That is, he spoke adult speeches, do you know? So in 10 years he will be 17 years old. He will become an adult, he will go to college, he will graduate, he will receive a higher education diploma, and he will begin to give all this potential, which is already manifested at the age of 7, to humanity. Do you understand? But this is a child who is being brought up in the right family. And there was the voice of his father, who gave him some recommendations, made some comments, and agreed with him. In general, my friends, the right families will have the right children. There are so many wrong children. And today I did not have time to shoot a picture on my phone, but in the morning we drove out in a car with my husband, and a woman was walking along the street. A woman was walking, and a baby with wide eyes was hanging on her chest. And she walked with a cigarette and smoked in his face. And he, poor baby, with his huge eyes, looks at this crazy world and at this crazy mother, who is killing herself and this child. What will happen, my friends, with this child? How will he grow up if his blood is already toxic because his mother smokes? Now he is small, and even now she does it. When even doctors say that if you smoke while pregnant, then smoke further. Of course, most people will leave this world. But there will remain those who will be able to give good fruit to humanity. and the correct moral education for humanity, and the correct spiritual development, and the correct, not fanatical, not insane understanding of everything that happens. After all, look how many illusions there are in this world, how many things that are not true, but insanity, how many crazy people are now. How can these people continue to evolve? It's impossible. Therefore, in this difficult process, natural selection will occur. Yes, natural selection, my friends, since there is free will, the right to choose. If you want to be happy, want to live forever, engage in spiritual development. If you do not want, do not believe, are not ready, it's your choice, free will, the right to choose. You signed your own verdict, and it's true. Whether you like it or not, whether you want to believe it or not, these are the laws of the cosmos, the laws of the one who created all this. Well, I'll finish our today's streaming. I can tell you, my friends, that there are a lot of questions and answers on the topic of clairvoyance. But in order for me to answer all these questions and teach you to be psychics, clairvoyant people who see clearly and not crazy, illusory seeing, you need to develop spiritually. And this means to change, work on yourself, change your life, improve it, and create it better, more beautiful, joyful, and filled with love. This is what I wish you, and I hope that you will hear my words and be able to show will and apply my recommendations in your lives. At least apply the recommendations. There will already be benefits, not for me, but for you.